Hey y'all, welcome back to the party. It is me, your girl BrittReacts, and today we're going to react to Ron White swallowing a $2,000 tooth. This is from This Is Not Happening. Let's see what happened.
I was working most of my gigs for the Funny Bone Comedy Club, and I was a prominent headliner for them in 1996, and making about $2,000 a week. And they would fly me to the gigs, and I wasn't paying my taxes, so it even felt like I was making more money than I was. Living pretty good, and so the guy that owned that chain of clubs realized that I was working 42 weeks a year for him, so he didn't have to pay me that much money. Because what the else would I do? You know, where am I going to go get those kind of gigs? You know,
Oh, wow.
I don't know. And so he cuts my pay from $2,000 an air to $1,500 and flat. And I told him to go eat a steaming bowl of.
Ew. All right, I love how much you all loved this Ron White reaction situation. From the minute I saw him, I just was like, this is like my spirit animal. If I was an old white man, I think I would be Ron White. Here he is. He's aged delectably, if I do say so myself. Y'all, excuse me. I'm recovering. I'm like only at 70%. I have been literally hanging on by a thread the last couple of days. So sick. So if I'm coughing, you know, just give me some grace. Still has what I believe is either a bourbon or a whiskey in his hand and what looks like a spliff. Google it. I'm not going to tell you what a spliff is, okay? You go find out. I love this guy. I love him for his unfiltered, brash realness. Like, it's so real. And nothing he said so far, I feel like, is comedy. I think this is just his life.
And I told him to go eat a steaming bowl of.
With conviction.
Okay, cut to years later. Blue Collar Comedy Tour happens. We sell 10 million albums. I start touring.
They
I
sold
play Radio
albums?
City Music Hall. I'm these things I never even dreamed of. I'm from a little dirt town in Northwest Texas, and I'm on my tour bus. It's late at night, and I'm driving back to Atlanta. And Wednesday night, when I get back to Atlanta, where I have a house, and I'm going to be the auctioneer at this huge charity event in a tuxedo.
He's got a great
called the
auctioneer
Eastlake
voice.
Foundation. And so that's my big charity of the year. So it's a big deal, and I do it every year. And I'm real drunk in my bus, which happens. We get what we call bus up in that bus.
Lord. As someone who's from Atlanta, I know of Westlake. I don't know. Have I heard of Eastlake? I think there's a golf course called Eastlake. Huh. I don't know. That just caught me. All right. I can imagine being on a bus, much like drinking on an airplane. There's just something, if you've ever been on a tour bus, there is something about I don't know. So I can understand how, like, it's not the same as drinking in a bar. I'm just saying.
And I'm real drunk in the bus, which happens. We get what we call bus up in that bus. And where your only goal is to stay sober enough to make it to where your bunk is. And I've barely done it. And underneath my bed on the bunk, there's a drawer that's refrigerated, and I can get water. And I've just had a bunch of dental work done, and all these are crowns on the front of my teeth. And one of them had been loose, and it had fallen off, and it was this one right here, that bad boy right there. And
I thought he was going
stuck
to pull
it
it
right
out.
on with a piece of toilet paper in there. And it had been on there for quite a while. It stuck on, and it looked
toilet
great. Look,
paper?
my teeth look great. None of them are real. None of this shit's real. No. Not one thing in this is real. And so I'm gulping down this water, drunk on my bus late at night, and the tooth comes off, and I swallow it. And I...
The timing of this is actually fantastic because if you are on what people like to call Black Twitter or TMZ or anything, then you know that Dame Dash, he's a hip hop like mogul, was on Instagram Live and his whole grill fell out into his hands. And his excuse was he was in between getting a new set of veneers or implants, I guess, because he had one tooth and it was humiliating, and he did too much to explain it. But like the fact that this is really out here happening to people, this is like new fear unlocked. I don't have veneers. I had braces twice, but this would terrify me if I had any type of you know. He swallowed it on top
And
of
the
that.
tooth comes off and I swallow it. And I understand the ramifications of this the second that it happens, because we live here too, and the dentist that did it's in Beverly Hills. That tooth cost $2,000.
Jesus. One tooth.
And I need it for Wednesday night.
This is real
And
inconvenient.
I know where it is. So I go onto the internet. What
Yuck.
do you do if you swallow a tooth?
Wait for it to pass.
Says, take laxatives, which I figured that was part of it, and shit in a trash can, and then mull around in the trash can until you find your tooth. Now, I literally have a 10th grade high school education, but still,
Oh, gosh.
I thought strainer.
Did he say strainer like a colander? That's also genius. This is what I love about him. He's like, I have a 10th grade education. Because there's nothing to be ashamed in the truth of his stories. Like, look at where he is now. Why would he not want y'all to know he did that on a 10th grade education? You know what I mean? We got to stop telling our kids that the only way to do things is to go to college and get into mountains of debt. But that's another conversation for another day. I love this man. He's like, I'm not that smart, but I immediately thought, why funnel it into a trash can when I can put it into a strainer and then, like, half the work is done before we've begun, friends. Touche.
Shit in a strainer.
Touche.
Take the strainer over the sink and like you're panning for gold. Just run water over the turd and let it
Over the
dissolve,
turd.
and whatever's left is left. But you're not
What
going to
if
miss
it's not
this
a turd?
turd, right? So I take everything. I'm doing these liquid things. I'm doing everything because I got to get this tooth. Got to come out by Wednesday because I need it so bad. And it's really going bad. And I take it. I'm eating a lot of food. I'm trying to shovel this stuff out. You want to hear the rest of the story? It's gross. I know it is. And I'm actually holding the strainer underneath my butt, shitting in it, trying to find this precious piece of porcelain.
The visual.
But then I find at the store this thing where it's a strainer, but it has these things that you can pull out and put it on a pot or a pot. And so now I'm hooked up, right? So I can put this thing down, then put the lid down, and I don't have to hold this thing between my legs to shit my tooth into my bucket, right? So now I'm way more high tech than I used to be. And it's day 2. And I'm like, oh my God, come on, Wednesday, come on.
Oh my, this is too much. And I'm changing diapers right now, guys. This is too much. Oh.
And
Wrap it up,
I
the
was so
visual.
sick of it. The only thing that kept me going was I started to pretending that was Nancy Grace's mouth. And
she is really public enemy number one, huh? Y'all do not like her.
Shitting in Nancy Grace's mouth, and you can keep going. You can keep going for a little while. Day 3, nice turd. We catch in the strainer bucket.
After all these
high-tech,
laxatives, it's still
taking
solid.
over, rinsing it off. Last chance for romance right here. My gig is in 4 hours. And there's the tooth. I found the tooth. And I put it in the dishwasher.
No.
You think I was just going to shove it back in my mouth? And we go down there, and the gig was postponed to the next night. I was like, oh. Anyway, there's my story. Thanks a lot, guys.
This is not happening stories get more disgusting as we go on. What? That just stressed me out so much. I love him. What do I need to react to next? That was something more recent. I've reacted to something a little bit older. Give me something in between in the comments. And go and have the day you deserve. And get your Fix-A-Dent, okay? Carry it with you. Don't put toilet tissue in between your tooth and the fake one. Have the day you deserve.